Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth and I'm a librarian at the Ann Arbor District Library. I lead the It's All Right teen writing contest along with my colleague Allison. We had so many fantastic entries for the 2021 writing contest in short story, flash fiction, and poetry categories. It was such an honor to read all of your stories this year, and thank you to every writer who participated. In a little bit, we're going to announce the winners of the 2021 It's All Right Teen Writing Contest. But first, we have a very special message from author Jeff Kass.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jeff Kass. I am a teacher of 10th grade English and creative writing at Pioneer High School here in Ann Arbor, and I am also a full-time writer. I don't know if I would have called myself that a few years ago, right? I wrote a lot, but I think I consider myself a teacher who also writes, but now I don't think that. And I think it's important that I don't. I think it's important to claim that title of writer, right? I write every day. I try to write whenever I can, and that means I'm a writer. I might not get paid as much as I get paid as a teacher, but it's not really about the money. I'm a writer. It's what I do. So how did I become a writer? That's kind of what I want to talk about today a little bit, is like, how does a person become a writer? And also what it means to be a writer. Those are kind of the two things I hope to cover for y'all today. So to start, I'll show you my books, at least some of my books. I got Knuckleheads, short story collection, won a big national award. Yeah, I wrote that 2011, I think it came out. My Beautiful Hook-Nosed Beauty Queen Strutwave, my first poetry collection, that came out 2014. And Teacher / Pizza Guy, my most recent poetry collection. You can see it has the I voted sticker. It came out in 2019 and was recognized as a Michigan Notable Book in 2020. So this was an interesting book. It was about the year that I spent teaching and also delivering pizzas, right? Just to kind of make enough money to cover all my bills. And, I work for Cottage Inn here in Ann Arbor. And it was a pretty interesting year, but you can read the book to find out more. I want to start by actually reading a poem from this collection, which is about becoming what we become, right? So like I said, I am a writer now, and I'll kind of get a little bit to like why and how I became that. But first, I want to read this poem called Becoming an Outfielder, right? So I don't know, maybe y'all are baseball fans, maybe not. Hopefully, even if you're not, this poem will be interesting to you. But I became an outfielder at a pretty young age because most of the pretty decent baseball players didn't play outfield when you're young. You play infield because that's where most of the balls go. But we played one team with a dude named Franklin Jackson who could hit the ball really far into the outfield. And so one day, my coach put me out there. And this is a poem about that. It's called Becoming an Outfielder. Becoming an outfielder felt like a demotion. I had always played first base, anchored the diamond, the steady throat swallowing all flavor of dart lacing across dirt, the vertex of every angled out. But our coach grew tired of Franklin Jackson roaring anthems over the addled heads of our spinning left field carousel, and truthfully, so did I. The switch seemed to pay that first inning of that first game when Franklin smacked his usual bomb of rising banana split erupting cream, and I read its arc and shape shifted my body to panther slide and cheetah leap, and with a dashing backhand snatch, tame Franklin's venom. Just another dart that died in my merciless mitt. But Franklin too had a body, and a backup generator pulsing at the grinding core of his hips. And from 200 plus of the longest rec league feet away, I could almost see the chugging factory rebuild itself stronger, cull more spark and grease from its fiery vault. And when he swung his next time up, My lungs blew themselves into a sailing kite and clung to the wake of his tallest tail's tailing flight. But despite my lunge and dive, I could not divine a line to intersect his monstrous drive, and I watched it roll down the Stone Gate stairs and through the parking lot I used to traverse every summer from third grade through eighth, when baseball camp lunch found me walking to the deli for a buttered Kaiser roll and a strawberry red soda known as a Tahitian treat. And sometimes my mother would sport me a couple extra dollars, and I'd ride my bike in the flaccid afternoon to the PX Theater and see a G-rated movie, something like Herbie. And I've always found the outfield to be something like that. Like walking into a dark theater when you're young and small and alone, and you got so many choices about where to locate your body and your hands and your feet. Don't we live for challenges like this? For the chance to stand ready on this sometimes fertile mud, to hear a cataclysmic crack and know the doom is entrusted to our own tending, to know it is up to us to read the wind, to rhyme the spin, to run, to leap, to dive, to snatch, to hold. So that's the deal. You know, my coach, when I was a little kid, wanted me to play outfield. Nobody wants to play outfield. But I learned to love outfield. I learned to love it because when I was out there, I could be totally focused. And I would stand out there in center field or left field or right field, and I'd be like, no white, no baseball will touch this holy green, this grass. No matter where somebody hit it, I was going to catch it. I was going to get there. I was going to read the spin and ride the wind. And if I had to dive, I would, but I was going to make that play. And it was all going to be on me. And I love that feeling. I love that feeling like, okay, whatever is going to happen, I'm going to be in charge of it. I'm going to determine my fate right now when I go after this ball, right? So, ironically, what ended my baseball career was being an outfielder and trying to make a diving catch. And I caught my spikes in the grass one time and tore my knee into many, many directions. And that was a really difficult time for me, right? Because I love playing baseball. And I didn't love anything as much as playing baseball, right? That was when I felt like in the flow, like whatever was happening in the world, I was connected to it in that moment. You know, I was trying to see how the wind was blowing. I was looking at I was connected to the world. And I don't think there's any better feeling than that. Maybe you felt that feeling too. It's kind of spiritual, right? You know, you're going for a walk one day and it's beautiful out here, looking at the sunset, or you're going for a swim in the middle of a lake or something, right? You felt that feeling when you feel totally connected, like you belong to the world and the world belongs to you. So when I wrecked my knee, I did not know how I was going to get that feeling again if I couldn't play baseball anymore. The answer was writing. And I'd always loved writing. Ever since I was a little kid, I loved being in my imagination and kind of frolicking around, making up stories, making up poems, even though I didn't call them poems back then, right? So what I realized is that the same amount of effort that I could put into playing baseball, that sense of being totally devoted to something and feeling connected to the world, I could also feel that when I was writing. And it was the only other time I could feel it, right? As focused as I could be in center field, waiting for that ball to get hit, that's how I can feel when I'm sitting in front of my keyboard and I'm typing, right? That same connectedness can happen when I'm writing. So how did I become that from the baseball player? I just took all that energy I had as an athlete, that ability to focus and concentrate, and poured it into putting words on paper, right? Sitting down, dedicating myself, right? And I get that same feeling. I get that feeling of being in the flow. And that's the thing I really want to emphasize to y'all today. Writing can be fun. And my guess is many of y'all already know that, or you wouldn't even have submitted to this contest, right? You wouldn't have written something for it. But a lot of times in school, you know, sometimes you can be asked to write things that you don't necessarily want to write. a 5-paragraph essay, a research paper, lab report. Maybe you want to write those things. Maybe you love them, but maybe you don't. And maybe you feel like, this doesn't feel like what writing is for me. Remember that feeling of what writing is for you. Remember how much fun it is to make up stories, to make up poems, because writing is art, right? And people think of, visual art, painting, and nobody would say, oh yeah, that painter's never having fun when they do it. We assume that somebody who loves to paint because it's fun for them. The same thing, maybe somebody plays the violin and they just are way into it. And we feel like it's fun for them. They get enjoyment out of it. Writing sometimes is looked at like a task, like difficult, like it's supposed to hurt you to write. I don't agree. I love writing because it is fun. I look forward to it. Now, that doesn't mean everything I write about is fun, right? I can write about some painful topics, and that can be difficult and painful. But the act of creation, the act of getting words down on paper in interesting ways, of painting a picture, is fun. And I never want you to forget that. Why are you writing? Because you love it. Because it's fun. You enjoy it. It's a good time. Like being inside your own brain and messing around with your imagination, that's super fun. Love that part of it. Hold on to that joy, because that's what will keep you going through the difficult parts of writing. Love that moment of discovery. So let me tell you what I mean by that, by the moment of discovery. So for me, right now, I'm teaching full-time at Pioneer. It's very difficult, right? We got all these Zoom classes. I got a ton of lesson plans. I got essays to grade, a lot of time, right? But I block out every day. Class is going to start at 8:30. I am on my computer in the morning at 6:45. I'm writing for an hour and a half or 2 hours if I can, every single day, no matter what. I treasure that time for me because I want to begin my day with that fun, with that enjoyment of my imagination. And my imagination works differently when I wake up in the morning. Later in the day, after I've done a ton of teaching and, whatever I've done, been in meetings, lovely faculty meetings, super fun, right? My brain doesn't work the same way. But when I wake up fresh from sleep in the morning and I just like grab my laptop and I head over to the couch in the living room, right underneath the window, my imagination just like is electric. It just soars. And I don't know what's going to happen, right? So here's a key. One of the things I do try to do whenever I write, and it's daily practice for me. Whenever I write, whenever I'm done for the day, I try to end off like in the middle of a sentence. Or even if I finish a sentence, knowing exactly what the next sentence is, right? I don't like to start in the morning having no idea what I'm doing, right? I always want to be like, oh yeah. I go back, say I wrote like 3 pages a day before. I go back and read those 3 pages and edit them, and then I'm ready to go right in the middle of that new sentence for the new day. Now, even though I kind of like give myself a little head start like that, it's not like I really know exactly what I'm going to say though, right? Like I trust that whatever happened in my brain at night when I'm asleep, dreaming, or whatever the heck I'm doing, when I wake up in the morning, I trust my imagination is going to get me somewhere. It's going to tell me something. Let me give you an example. So in this book I'm writing right now, this novel, I'm working on a new novel, all right? And it's basically about a father and a son getting through the pandemic together, right? So it's very much in the moment. It's kind of like what's going on now. It's based somewhat on my relationship with my son, who's a 10th grader, but not completely, right? Just very in small ways. But anyway, the scene that I'm writing is they have a very close older friend, a woman named Mary Ellen, who is in the hospital with COVID. And she gets out of the hospital. And so the only thing I knew is that my sentence in the morning was going to start like this. 2 days later, Mary Ellen is released from the hospital. That's all I knew, right? But I trusted that something else would happen. What? I didn't know. But I came in the morning, got my laptop, headed over to the couch underneath the window, looked at that sentence. Well, looked at the 2 or 3 pages before and read those, then got to that sentence. 2 days later, Mary Ellen was released from the hospital, and here's what happened next. 2 days later, Mary Ellen is released from the hospital. I pick her up, double masked, my whole car vacuumed and sanitized, windows wide open while we drive. I usher her to my house first, into the backyard, to my house first, into the backyard, where we welcome her with a socially distanced barbecue, where people wear masks except when they're physically putting food or drink into their mouths. She said she wanted that, and she's 85 years old. She wins. It is a more subdued affair than the night when we danced to Motown, but it is still joyful. Kelly, that's the narrator's wife. Kelly tells a story about how a handful of years after we married, right before she got pregnant with Mira, she looked into converting to Judaism. And since the rabbi was miffed at my infrequent visits to temple, he actively discouraged her from doing so. The world does not need any more part-time Jews, he told her. If you cannot commit to bringing your husband to prayer on a regular basis, why would you attempt such a conversion? I can't commit to making my husband do anything he doesn't want to do, Kelly said. I didn't marry him to change who he is, yet you are asking for a chance to change yourself. But I want to do that, but not enough to bring your husband to synagogue. I think we're going to leave now, Kelly said, and pulled me up from the leather chair in the rabbi's office. Thank you for your time. See you in the fall, I said to the rabbi, referring to the High Holy Days services. He made a dismissive motion with his hand, like a diner at an upscale restaurant who doesn't want the busboy to refill his water glass, and Kelly, like me, became a very unofficial secular Jew. She knows the prayer to light the Hanukkah candles and has read the Old Testament, believes in questioning God's will, accompanies me to temple twice a year, raises her glass of red wine now, and, as if, absent the strains of Diana Ross, she can hear, in this suburban shtetl, a lone fiddler perched on his roof next to an embankment of south-facing solar panels, toast Mary Ellen. May all your futures be pleasant ones, she says with authority, like she's part of whatever minion she believes in, extolling her lord amongst a bouquet of dusty, bearded males gathered at a tavern. Not like our present ones. And if our good fortune never comes, here's to whatever comes. Drink, l'chaim, to life. Slowly, Mary Ellen pushes up from her lawn chair, the only one we have with a cushion, and rises. Her glass contains just a smidgen of wine, but she raises it in one hand, raises too her empty hand so she can snap her fingers, and crosses her feet back and forth in the ancient dance that, it occurs to me, is nothing if not a somewhat slower and Hebrew version of a hip-hop up-rock, and sings the die, 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 die. And then we are all up, even Reno and Aaron, circling each other 6 feet apart and dancing, snapping our fingers above our uncovered heads, denying the virus's ability to claim Mary Ellen, denying the virus deniers, singing through our masks, lowering them only to sip. All right, here's the point, right? So that whole section of that little book, when I went down on the couch to write that at 7 a.m. in the morning, I had no idea I was going to write that. I had no idea I was going to be quoting lyrics from Fiddler on the Roof. I had no idea I was going to make up this scene with a rabbi talking to this woman about why she should not convert to Judaism. No idea, right, that those things would happen. But I trusted my imagination, and boy, I had fun, right? So, like, I knew I was going to write about Mary Ellen coming back from the hospital, but I had no idea it was going to be a party, that they're going to get into the kind of Jewishness aspect of it, and that they'd end up dancing to kind of Fiddler on the Roof song. But the only reason that that happens is because I believe in the fun of writing, right? And I trust my imagination. I trust that something good is going to happen. And when I sit down, if it begins to happen, I don't stop it. You know, I don't become that editor in my head that says, don't do that. Don't go there. You know, I'm like, go there. Let's see what happens. You can always come back and edit. Take that scene and make it crazy. Bring in Fiddler on the Roof. Talk about some rabbi somewhere in his office talking about you shouldn't be converting to Jew. You know, do it. Have a good time with it. Have fun. So if there's one thing that I can say to y'all, you know, in that poem, when I talked about how being an outfielder is like walking into a movie theater by yourself. I don't know how many of you have ever done that, but you probably walked somewhere by yourself. And when you're by yourself and you get to decide where your feet go next or where you're going to sit down, like a movie theater or a cafeteria or whatever you're going to do, those choices, when they're just yours, are the best, right? You can decide where you go, where you're going to sit in that theater, up front, in the back, in the middle, on the side. You decide, right? And whatever you decide is going to change what happens, right? So like if I sit in the middle of a movie theater, my perspective is going to be different than if I sit in the back row or I sit up front and I have to like crane my neck and see it, right? So when you make that decision, it will make a difference, but it's your decision. And that's what writing is. Writing is when you walk to that keyboard, or maybe you write in a journal. That world is yours. You get to decide what happens next. Nobody tells you, right? It's like that same choice, that little kid, where am I sitting in the theater? You decide. Look at the page in front of you. Whatever's going to happen, that power is yours. And that's what's incredible about writing, because you just have a blank page and you just create something. You make art that didn't exist before. And have fun, right? The more fun you have when you're writing, the more fun your reader's going to have when they're reading. All right, I know I babbled on there. Y'all can find me at Pioneer if you ever need me. Have a great time in your writing life. I'd love to see your work someday. Take my creative writing class at Pioneer. And y'all have, enjoy your writing. Have fun with it. Own it and love it. Thank you for your time.
Jeff, thank you so much for your inspiring words and for sharing a little of your story with us. Now, I want to introduce you to the judges who actually judged the finalist stories and selected the winners of this year's contest. Listen in.
Hi, my name is Kristen Bartley Lenz, and I am here at home in my very sunny office. I am the author of The Art of Holding On and Letting Go, which is a young adult novel about a 15-year-old rock climber girl. I've written several other novels, but this is the first one and the only one so far to be published. I also write short stories and flash fiction and poetry, and that's one of the reasons why I really love judging this contest. Reading your stories, I'm always inspired and motivated to experiment and take risks in my own writing too. So I want you to know how hard of a time I have judging this contest. Even though I enjoy it so much, I have the hardest time choosing my favorites. Each story is different and unique, and I'm always surprised. I read them several times over the period of a week, and I notice different elements each time, and I change my mind, and I agonize over which ones are the best. So please know that the entries are so close, and I hope that you will continue sharing your writing and sending it out into the world, and I appreciate that you shared it with me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erica M Chapman, the author of Teach Me to Forget, right there. Teach Me to Forget follows Ellery, a girl who loses her sister in a tragic accident, and she feels guilty about it and feels like her only escape is to end her own life. I wrote it in 2012, so it's been a really long time since I wrote it, and just wanted to share a little bit about my writing career and also share some tips that I have learned with you. So I started writing poetry when I was younger, and I journaled, which I think are great ways to kind of get your feelings out and to get to know what kind of writer you are. I think it's super important to discover your voice. Your voice is what's going to make your story and your words stand out amongst all the other stories. When you're writing a short story or even fiction, you want to make sure that you have a message in mind that you want to tell. Why are you writing this story, and who are you trying to get through to? These are things that I do really naturally. Most of my stories, there's some reason that I started writing it, whether I'm trying to get through something on my own, whether I observed something that I wanted to get answers to for questions I had, but I always had a reason for writing what I'm writing. So for me, a great story comes from an authentic place. Make your voice shine, make your message be clear, and all the other stuff, the plot, the conflict, the stakes in the story, those will come later, but have something to say first.
Hi, I'm Polly Rosenwake, and I was honored to be one of the judges for the library's very cool writing contest. I have been writing since I was in first grade and learned to read and write. My first book was about a boy named Charlie and his dog, and I don't write too much about boys and their dogs anymore. But I've been writing stories all these many years. I've written some poems. I write book reviews for newspapers, and my first book was published in 2019, 2 years ago. It's a collection of stories called Look How Happy I'm Making You. And I have taught a lot of writing. I taught creative writing to kids in Seattle, when I used to live in Seattle. I taught after school kind of creative writing clubs for elementary and middle school kids, which were super fun. And I was a writer in residence at a middle school. And then after I moved to Ann Arbor, I taught at Eastern Michigan University to college students fiction and poetry for a long time. And now I edit a journal, so I'm a fiction editor at a journal, and work as an editor also. And I love doing things like this and reading kids' writing. Sometimes I read my own kids' writing. This is my daughter Zia, kind of behind the camera here. Pop in, say hi.
Hi.
And my other daughter, Ani.
Hi.
And they both are great writers. And that's our cat, Sunny, who I don't think does much writing, but maybe sneakily late at night. So thanks, guys, for entering this contest. I hope you guys keep working hard at writing and keep having fun with it.
Hi everyone, my name's Bridget and I was a judge for this year's Ann Arbor District Library Teen Writing Contest. I myself am a writer and I'm getting my Master's in Fine Arts in Poetry here at the University of Michigan. Though I've been a writer my entire life, ever since I was a young girl, submitting my poetry to contests just like all of you did. All of the stories that I read for this contest were fantastic. It was so hard just to choose 3. One of my favorite things about writing is that we can use it as a tool to express our innermost thoughts and ideas. We can use it to catalog the world, and we can use it to communicate ourselves with others. And I found all 3 of those sort of theories in each one of your pieces. It was truly amazing. So however the awards get handed out this year, remember everyone's taste is different, and it just takes one person to say that they enjoy your work to get selected for an award or selected for publication, so anything like that. So never stop writing, believe in yourself, you can do it, and who knows, one day you might be getting your degree in writing as well. So thanks again for letting me read all of your wonderful pieces. Keep writing.
Hey teen writers! My name is Jen Galveo, and I had the privilege of getting to read all of your smart, funny, moving work for the Ann Arbor District Library. I sat down with a notepad to try and take notes on each story, and instead that notepad is just full of hearts and stars and exclamation points. You should all be so proud of your work. I'm currently studying fiction in the Helen Zell Writers Program at the University of Michigan, and I owe a lot of where I am now to the reading and writing I did when I was younger. My love of writing was born out of love of reading, and I spent a lot of high school bus rides trying to write in the Notes app on my phone. I hope all of you will keep finding joy and expression and energy in your work, and surprise too. The best writing is the writing where you surprise yourself. Keep going. Best of luck.
I also wanted to share a little bit about our last author judge, Jim Odaviani. He is a librarian at the University of Michigan, and also an avid volunteer for 826 Michigan, whom AADL collaborates with frequently. You may also recognize Jim's name because he is the author of a variety of science-based graphic novels, including one about Stephen Hawking, about Jane Goodall and some of her colleagues, and about the scientist Richard Feynman. Jim, thank you so much for agreeing to be a judge for our contest. And thank you to all of our wonderful judges this year. It's such an honor to know that you got to read all the stories and that you were the ones who were able to select the winners this year. And speaking of winners, it's now time for us to announce the winners of the 2021 It's All Right contest. 6th through 8th grade short story winners. In 3rd place, Samana Kotakal, The Monster Under My Bed. In 2nd place, Jennifer Tang, The Ocean Swallows. In 1st place, Grace Liu, Yellow. 6th through 8th grade flash fiction winners. In 3rd place, Jessica Primus, My Little Red Jacket. In 2nd place, Grace Belanger, Letting Go. In 1st place, Mary Russell, The Gift. 6th through 8th grade poetry winners. In 3rd place, Anonymous, Blue. In 2nd place, Rebecca Van Lent, Supernova. In 1st place, Helen Callias, Never Again. 9th and 10th grade short story winners. In 3rd place, Ioana Dumitrascu, I Guess I'm Not the Happiest. In 2nd place, Kriya Jaganesh, Scales and Arpeggios. In 1st place, Olivia Pombos, Mother. 9th through 10th grade flash fiction winners. In 3rd place, Angie Liu, Little Red Riding Hood. In 2nd place, Jessica Gia, Growing Up. In 1st place, Anonymous, Sugar High. 9th through 10th grade poetry winners. In 3rd place, Zain Rahim, Untitled. In 2nd place, Jillian Perry, Puppet Show, December. In 1st place, Sean McMillan, To Stand. 11th and 12th grade short story winners. In 3rd place, Audrey George, The Gray Fox. In 2nd place, Anonymous, Birds of America. In 1st place, Hewan Yu, 238, Run 52. 11th and 12th grade flash fiction winners. 3rd place, Helen Schmitter, In Our Kitchen. In 2nd place, Chloe Long, Grief's Journey. In 1st place, Eiley Weatherby, Gone. 11th and 12th grade poetry winners. In third place, Chloe Long, A Hypocrite's Sword. In second place, Madeline Gupta, My People, in Reverse. In first place, Anonymous, My Honest Poem. Congratulations to all of our 2021 winners, our finalists, and to everyone who participated in the writing contest this year. We'll be hosting this again in 2022, and it will begin taking entries sometime in early January. So keep checking our website towards the end of this year for more information. If you were a winner this year, we'll be contacting you via email to confirm your mailing address and in what format you would like your prize money so that we can get that to you as soon as possible. So look out for an email from us so we can figure out where to mail things and what format you'd like that in. If you have any questions, you can always contact allwrite@aadl.org. And thank you again to all of our participants, our author judges, to our special speaker, Jeff Kass, and to everyone involved in the 2021 writing contest. See you next year.